and good morning. Today, I am going to talk about basics of Microsoft Excel and more importantly, why do we need to learn Microsoft Excel at the time of artificial intelligence? Let's get started. What is Excel? Excel is an spreadsheet editor developed by Microsoft. Now, you might ask, what is a spreadsheet? So, what used to happen is that in old times when there were no computers, at that time, businesses were run on pen and paper. And because business matrices needs to be tracked at a longer duration, usually officers used to create very large sheets which they used to spread on their work desk, and they used to make tables for various accounts like profit and loss or inventory accounts or things like that. Now after computers came, Microsoft actually developed the spreadsheet software, and because it delivers the same utility as that of a spreadsheet, that's the reason all of these kind of working files are known as spreadsheets, and Excel is one of those editor which works on these files. Then it gives multiple capabilities to calculate and compute data, to develop graphs and do trend analysis, analyze data, and automate your calculations. These are very vague and very basic utilities of this. When we go into more deep dive of how Excel works and what all Excel can do, we'll see more and more of them in coming times. Excel is a very important tool which works as a basis of decision support system for all the organizations and individuals as well. So let's see that why do we need to learn Excel? Now let me ask you this question. Why do we run? Why do we cycle if we have cars and buses and trains and flights? Well, the reason for that is because all of these have different utilities. If I talk specifically about running and cycling, it gives immense health benefits over and above just going from one place to another. Walking, running, cycling, these are on manual tasks, but still they are not only beneficial but very essential to maintain our day to day health and live a good life. Yes, obviously, we can choose any other mode of transportation as well, like car or bus or train, or can take flights as well. But we still do not stop to run, cycle, or do any other physical activities. Well, that is the same reason why we should learn Excel in the age of AI. Let's see more points in this slide. First point is to solve quick to solve problems faster. Well, you might know in generative AI, you have to give prompt. But if something is as simple as just pressing three or four keys, then why would you need to type three or four sentences to do the same thing, right? So if you know Excel, you would be able to do things which would take AI up, let's suppose 30 seconds, you could do in just 3 to 4 seconds. Then the next is to become less dependent on artificial intelligence, which would make you confident on the data which you deliver as an output. Next is to improve and showcase your logical thinking and maths skills. Well, yes, artificial intelligence is there, but we as a human would still and always be working with other humans only. Any investment, any business decision has to be taken, will have to be done by humans. So at any point of time, you will have to convince your human counterpart, your manager or business partner or investor, that yes, you have that level of logical thinking capabilities and maths skills. Why? Because if you know Excel, then you would be able to break down problems into smaller steps and structure them. You understand cause and effect relationships of your data, that what is impacting what. And lastly, you use Excel like a lab where you experiment logically and improves your business understanding and decision making abilities. So you don't have to rely every time on artificial intelligence or Copilot to give you business insights, because the fact is that if you can rely on Copilot, then your manager can also rely on Copilot and they won't need you. So that is the reason you need to learn Excel even at the age of artificial intelligence. Now let's check what is Excel. I'm in my Excel right now, and what you see is the home page of Microsoft Excel. Let me tell you about the home page first, and later I'll tell you about other layouts. So, when you open Microsoft Excel, you would see three buttons here: Home, New, and Open. Next, you see a good afternoon greeting here. This is based on the time when I am logged in. Then it is suggesting me to create something new. I can create a blank workbook, or I can take a tour to Excel, formula tutorial, or things like that. You would see that there is a search box here, and this is used to search any Excel which you have worked on previously. Below that, it is showing me my recent Excel files. If I add any of the files in my favorites, those would come here. And if there are files which anyone else has shared with me, those files would appear here. Next is new. In here, you can create new Excel workbooks. It will give you option to create a specific Excel workbooks like academic calendar or household monthly budget, simple invoice, and so on. And the last option is open. In open, you could choose any Excel from any of the locations and select them to open it. For this example, let me create a new blank workbook so that I can show you the layout. Now, when I clicked on new workbook, what you see is that the selection has come to home. You would see this type of a screen which has some options here at the top. Now below that there are some boxes which has A1 written in it or FX written in it. This is the generic layout which you would see. Best way to explore Excel is to hover on the button of your interest. For example, if I want to see that what is this button, if you hover, it would show that this is paste and it mentions add content on the clipboard to your document. Similarly, if I hover on cut, it says remove the selection and put it on the clipboard. Now let me tell you about the top section first. Here you see home, then there is insert, draw, page layout, formula. These are all tabs, and these tabs have their own ribbon. You might have noticed that when I click on home, some different tools are coming here. When I click insert, then different tools are coming. When I click on draw, then different tools are coming. Page layout has different tools, and so on. So this section from left to right, almost 1 inch tall section, this is called the ribbon. And all the tools related to this particular tab are placed on these ribbon only. Now below that, there is name box. So what this name box does is, this box basically tells the name of the cell or object which I have selected. For example, currently I have selected A1, hence it is written A1 here. If I click and select anything else, then it would show the new name, which is currently I have selected J10, and that's the reason J10 is showing. Then there is a button for FX, which is basically to insert functions. I can insert functions directly by clicking here. You can see some of the functions which I have recently used. They are showing here. You could also go to all, or you could go to financial, date and time, and whichever you want. You can select those functions from here, but we would go in more details separately. Next to it is the formula bar. This is where we type any value or any formula. For example, I have selected B2 right now, and if I want to type 5 here, you see that I type 5 and 5 is displaying here at the bottom. So now B2 consists the value 5. Any box that you see on this screen is a cell, which means that currently this is A4, A5, A6, 7, 8. All of these are cells. And if I click on A or B or C or D, these are called as columns. And you would see that when I click on any of these column name, then whole of the column is getting selected. Similarly, if I click on 1 or 3 or 8 or 12, you would see that a vertical section is getting selected. This vertical section is called row. And when we click on any of this row number, then whole row gets selected. Now, as I mentioned about the cell, what cell represents the intersection of column and row. So if I have selected column D and I have selected row 14, then you see this dark intersection between D column and 14th row. This cell would be called as D14. So when I click there, you would see that D14 name is showing. So I hope you understand the concept of cells, rows, and columns now. Now coming to this sheet 1 where it's written. Now in the beginning of the video when I was sharing my slides, I told you that spreadsheets were used at the business since beginning, and that is the same concept here. So consider this as a digital sheet which you can use to capture data, do calculations, do analysis, and so on. As this is a spreadsheet, yes, you can scroll towards right to get more columns and add your data in these columns. Similarly, you can scroll up or scroll down to see that how many rows are there. If I show you how many rows and columns are there, typically I can press Control right and Control down. You see that it is going up till XFD 1048576, which means that there are, I mean, lots and lots of rows and columns in which you can add your data. Now, what if I want to change the name of this sheet? Well, I can do that by double clicking on it, or I can come to this sheet 1, I can do a right click and I can choose the option rename, and I can choose the name of the sheet as demo. So instead of sheet 1, I can mention this as a demo sheet. Now I can click on this plus icon to add more sheets if I want to work with them, and I can use these multiple sheets for different type of data. For example, this could be demo, this could be budget, this could be price data, this could be customer, and so on. Now coming to this bottom right section, as I told that if you hover on any of the button, it would show that what this is. Currently it's showing me normal, this shows page layout, and this shows page break view. Now what this means is that currently normal is selected and hence this view is showing. If I click on page layout, then the layout of the view has changed as if this is a paper on which I was creating these tables. So by choosing this, you could actually see that how this page would look like if it gets printed. Let me select the normal again, and if you see that if I zoom out, the size of these cells are becoming smaller, and if I zoom in or scroll this towards right, the size of the cells have become larger. You can also double click on this 100% and you can select if you want to magnify it to 200%, 100%, 75%, and so on. Now this is the basic layout of the opening screen that you see. I have not even covered the home tab, but this is just a quick introduction and a feeler of how an Excel spreadsheet looks like. I would encourage you to go to your spreadsheet software and explore these tabs and ribbons by yourself by hovering over any tool, and you would be able to see that what that tool does. Definitely, I would be covering more of these tools and ribbons and their details in upcoming videos. For today, thank you for watching.